all these sort of analysts were trying to like explain the rise of one nation, and they're putting up to like cost of living pressures, and like people are against net zero and they want to put like the regions first. But it's like all those reasons have already been accounted for previously in Australian politics, like net zero that was targeted by the Liberal Party, putting the regions first is like the National Party, one would assume. And like just general cost of living relief is something offered by all parties, although they have their own nuance. Like Labor might do it through actually just giving people stimulus checks, and I guess the Liberals will do it with austerity and trying to reduce inflation. So there's like only one, there's a confounding variable here for why like this sort of third party has risen on the right, One Nation, and that is just simply anti-immigration sentiment. And obviously a very strong sentiment for people to like reject the uni party over it.
What up, everybody? Harrison here. Welcome to the Arabian Pleb show. So I found this clip very interesting from young Ozpil, and I think he's sort of more or less making like a pretty good point there, that most of the reason why there's been this dramatic rise in support for Pauline Hanson's One Nation is because of the issues with immigration and this anti-immigration sentiment that is rising for understandable reasons. You know, we've got really dramatic cost of living pressures. It's just getting out of control, and it's becoming really, really difficult for just your average Aussie with, a decent job to be able to survive and afford all these bills that are going up in price constantly. And then, cost of food, cost of energy, fuel to put in your car, just everything is getting out of control. And a lot of people are looking at immigration and seeing that as a major causal factor, which I think it is part of it. But in my honest, humble opinion, it's only part of it. And I think that the bigger sort of like glaring factor is inflation and like the true, like what inflation truly is. It's not just the CPI. The CPI is a lie. CP lie. It's bullshit. What true inflation is the expansion in the money supply. And who has the power to expand the money supply? Well, it's the government. It's the Reserve Bank of Australia, the independent Reserve Bank of Australia, which is just bullshit. It's a government program. They have the power to create new national currency units. The money that we use is not created by business. It's created by the government. Like, it's just so obvious. Look at a note. Have I got a note? Have I got a note? Oh, probably not. No, I don't. But you look at any Australian note or coin, and not many people use these anymore. But what does it say on there? It's a picture of the Queen, but this is minted by the Australian government, by the Australian Reserve Bank of Australia. What do we got on the back there? We've got the coat of arms, I believe. Anyway, you get the point. Like, this shit is made by the government. It's not made by businesses. There are people that counterfeit money, and what happens to the people that counterfeit money? They go straight to jail. But for some reason, it's okay for the government to counterfeit money. So like that's the bigger factor, is like, if you're just going to keep creating new money, and that new money is going to chase the same amount of existing goods and services. So simple supply and demand. You're creating more demand by making more money, and it's chasing the same amount or fewer goods and services, the supply. demand outweighing supply, what happens? Price go up. And that's all that's happening here. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting from Ozpil there. And I think he's more or less like right that the energy, like the sentiment and the focus is on immigration, and that's why Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party is growing in support. But I think people are failing to understand economics and what's really the causal factor behind everything getting so expensive. And I'm telling you, it's not only, it is a part of it, but it's not only more people flooding into the country. It's the fact that that the government is creating more money. And when that happens, when additional currency units are created, the value, because it's just, again, supply and demand, the supply is rapidly and dramatically increasing. That means that the value of each unit is less. So there you go. Dude, this next clip I thought was super fascinating. So this is a clip taken from the Patrick Bet David podcast, PBD podcast, and like, to be honest, Pat frustrates the hell out of me a lot of the time. Like, I just see him as, I don't know. He's apparently he's like a really savvy businessman, and people who know him, who I think are trustworthy, like Dave Smith, will say that. And so that, be that as it may, but in terms of like his takes and his like political analysis and stuff, I just think is just so biased. It's so heavily skewed towards the pro-Israeli side, and that to me is just like a non-starter, more or less. Like, it's just like, okay, dude, like, yeah, right, okay, yeah, of course you would say that, being as biased as you are, and we all have our biases. I'm not immune to that. It's just that my bias is towards like liberty, freedom, and peace, and property rights. So that's where I'm coming from. But anyway, but this clip here I think is worth looking at, worth discussing, and very interesting. So let's just cut over to that now.
It says Trump says Iran is on life support, right? And there is one thing nobody is talking about in regards to Iran. And I want to know if you've read any of this stuff here, Tom, while I go through it. Do you know when people think about where we get internet from? Do you know 97% of the internet that we use, to upwards of 99%, is it satellites or is it underwater?
Cable.
It's cable. And cable is where?
Underwater.
Underwater. 97% underwater. You know how many thousand miles? There's 750,000 miles of cable underwater. Each mile to build these is between $400,000 to $1.1 million to create each mile of this. So go 750,000 miles of cable. Okay, what the hell does this have to do with anything? If you want to pull up these cables, Rob, on what they look like, the underwater cables for internet, and if you go to that one right there, go to that one right there. Can you, no, the one, that's what it looks like, just so you know, but go to the fourth image, right there. Can you make that bigger? Okay, this is what Iran just figured out.
Huh.
You see all these cables where they're going through? 60%. Go zoom in a little bit more. That's a pretty shitty quality picture, but we'll do the best with it, Rob. Zoom in a little bit more to India. Do you see that bottom left, like right in the middle of India, that zero dot right there? Go a little bit higher to show you which one it is. Go right there. Go down a little bit with that arrow, Rob. Can you put it right to the left? Right there. That one right there is Mumbai. 60% of India's internet comes from Mumbai and the cables that go through there. 2 of the connections of these cables go through where? Strait of Hormuz. So Iran has realized, wait a minute, if this collapse, by the way, $10 trillion a day is going through that cable. And they figured out, they said, oh, you guys want to play ball, so guess what we want to do? They've not just been asking about the $2 million per ships that come through a day from Strait of Hormuz, which is 2 million times 60 ships is what? $120 million a day times 30 days. That's a lot of money for these guys to be making, right? If you think about, is it 2 million times 60, $120 million, right?
Yep.
They're not only asking for that because they want to say, we want to control Strait of Hormuz. But guess what now they're asking? They made 3 requests. 1, they want to take control of the cables that goes through Strait of Hormuz. 2, the entire, if it breaks and fixes, you can't use any other company except for Iran to be able to fix the cable. So they want the business to go through them. And he's now asking, do you know who has cables on Strait of Hormuz? Which companies? Microsoft, Apple, Meta has built their own cables that's going through there. India all of a sudden comes out and is like, wait a minute. We cannot, because Iran's like, hey, we found out about these cables. If you guys mess with it, because back in the days, what China knew how to do was, even Russia trained on this. China had a unit, and Russia as well, where they taught their people on how to go underwater to mess with these cables. And
so anyway, I'll stop it there. But yeah, so that to me is that's super fascinating. That's crazy. So there's just another thing in another thing that Iran can exploit and use as leverage over the United States and Israel. That like, hey, dude, like you keep fucking attacking us like this, and you keep provoking, and you keep being the aggressor in this way. That we've got some aces up our sleeve that we could really fuck over the global economy. and then like, it sounds like from what Pat's saying, it's like India's like very much in the fucking in the crosshairs of this, and China as well, and they're major players on the world stage. So that's like fucking mind blowing to me, and just another reason why this war is so stupid, and why what Trump and Netanyahu did is so catastrophically fucking retarded. And now, like, what are they going to do? What, like, they're on this escalation ladder where Trump can't just ever admit that he's wrong and he shouldn't have done what he did and that it's going so poorly for him. He always needs a way to try and save face and lie and make out like he's got a win out of this, and just at every turn he doesn't. At every turn he's just getting checkmated. Like, it's just insane. It's batshit crazy. So that was really something.
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that motivates.
You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. He doesn't care about Americans' financial situation. The only thing he cares about is whether Iran has a nuclear weapon. Dude, it is over for Trump. It is over for any Republican who is even like mildly associated with Trump and any of this administration and these policies. That is astonishing, dude. He does not care. He's not even thinking about Americans' financial situation at all. What a fucking scumbag, man. What a lying, hypocritical, just piece of crap. The man who campaigned on supposedly Biden's price inflation, which was also Trump's fault too. He was responsible for the, quote, big, beautiful bill during COVID. He's responsible for all that money printing and inflation that was created during that period that ended up showing up during the Biden years, but was largely his responsibility. And then in 24 campaigns on reducing people's costs and not getting into new stupid wars. And look at him. Look at this guy. Look at this scumbag. What a piece of crap. He is over. It's over for him, man. Like, he is a lame duck. he's going to get nothing done. The midterms or whatever that all the Republicans are crying about that they're going to lose, he's going to lose them for shit like this. Like all the other side has to do is just take this clip and run that. That's their campaign right there. He just handed them this campaign ad on a golden platter. Hilarious. And just so you guys can see, not only is Trump losing this war in Iran, he's losing the propaganda war online badly. Like one of my last episodes or a couple episodes ago, we ran a clip of Tim Dillon, like, you know, making this point in the most hilarious fashion as Tim Dillon does. But just that, like, you'd think that what Tim Dillon says is like, you'd think that we could win the shit talking war. You'd think we could win at that. We're not even winning that. We're losing the shit talking war. America, the biggest shit talkers on the planet. So Tim Dillon's great, but like, just as an example, like, here's another one. I can't remember what this is from, like a week ago or so, but like, check this shit out. And this is regarding Trump claiming to the media that, like, he holds all the cards. They're in the driver's seat in terms of these negotiations. You know, we're getting everything that we want, the Americans and the Israelis. Iran's getting nothing. You know, the deal is going to be great and totally, you know, in our favor. Iran's getting nothing. You know, they're giving us everything, whatever. So check this out. So Trump's saying he has all the cards, right? That was his, like, big claim a week or so ago. And then Iran comes out with this.
All right.
Uno, and again +4.
Okay, so you have only one card.
Yes, uno. Game over.
I have all the cards right now.
Yes, but you lost.
Dude, they are losing badly. Badly. Bigly losing. And now I'm going to show you a clip. So this is a clip of Scott Horton 20 years ago, the great Scott Horton, predicting what's going on right now, that if America were to ever seriously attack Iran and start a war with them, that these are the potential consequences. Let's go to Scott. Greatest foreign policy expert on the planet. 20 years ago. Here we go.
Another thing I would like to mention, or try to hit off of something that Mr. Ehrlich said in his talk there, is that a war with Iran would be a disaster. That's the way he put it. The way I put it is that a war with Iran would mean the deaths of thousands of American soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. 4,000 soldiers have died in the Iraq War in order to install the Iranians' puppets from the Dawa Party, the Mahdi Army, and the Supreme Islamic Council in power in Baghdad. And both Abdulaziz al-Hakim from the Supreme Islamic Council, who's now dead, but his son is in charge, and Muqtada al-Sadr, the big kingmaker from the election a couple of weeks ago, have promised that they would go to war with the American occupation in the United States. These are the people who did not fight. These are the people who gained when America overthrew Saddam Hussein and have waited this whole time. And they have said, if you bomb Iran, you're going to have to start the war with us all over again. Not to mention the fact that our soldiers are right there within missile range. It is also perfectly within the capability of the Iranians to close the Straits of Hormuz at the gates of the Persian Gulf and drive the cost of oil up over $200 a barrel, which would probably destroy what's left of the global economy and the division of labor in global trade. And all for basically a policy that comes out of Tel Aviv, because the Likud party, Benjamin Netanyahu and his associates, are paranoids. And to them, if the Iranians have nuclear technology, full stop, that's it, that is tantamount, that is equivalent to them having nuclear weapons and being ready to use them on us at any moment, and therefore that's an existential threat and it's intolerable. And yet it's 6 degrees of reality away from the real situation. And if
Dude, like, seriously. Like, he's just so right. And he's been proven correct. So more people need to listen to Scott Horton. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, fucking read his books. And yeah, like, it's just so ironic because, you know, Israel, suckering America into fighting this war for them, as they have done many times. The second war in Iraq was for Israel. The overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya is for Israel. The overthrow of Assad in Syria is for Israel. Fighting the Houthis in Yemen is for Israel. Like, basically the whole global war on terror is for Israel. They want hegemon. They want to be the hegemon in the region. They want, dominance of the Middle East. But, like, it's just so fucking hypocritical of them to be like, we need to go to war with Iran because they might obtain nuclear weapons. They're 3 weeks away. We've heard this from Benjamin Netanyahu for the last 35 years. They're 3 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. They're 2 months away from a nuclear weapon. They're 4 years away from a nuclear weapon. We don't think it would say it that way. Well, they're 1 year away from nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, Israel has nuclear weapons. They have more than 200 nuclear warheads. It's just a fact. It's the fucking worst kept secret ever. Who is it? Mordecai Menunun. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right, but he was the great whistleblower on this. Let's pull it up. Excuse me. What did I say? I think I said Mordecai Menunu. It's Mordecai Venunu. Okay, hang on. Forgive me. So Mordecai, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Mordecai Venunu. Mordecai Venunu is an Israeli former nuclear technician and peace activist who, citing his opposition to weapons of mass destruction, revealed details of Israel's nuclear weapons program to the British press in 1986. He was subsequently lured from Britain to Italy by the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad, where he was drugged and abducted. He was secretly transported to Israel and ultimately convicted in a trial that was held behind closed doors. So there you go, the great whistleblower right here, Mordecai Venunu, champion. He blew the lid on Israel's secret nuclear weapons program and is a big reason why JFK was assassinated. Was he didn't want them to have nukes, and also he wanted to register what is now AIPAC, but I can't remember what it was at the time during the 60s and JFK's era. But he wanted them to register with FARA, which is the foreign, like the foreign lobby act or whatever to make them like every other foreign lobby to register that they are a foreign lobby, that these aren't just Americans lobbying on behalf of a foreign nation, that these are foreigners lobbying on behalf of a foreign nation. So that's what got JFK shot in the bloody head. Oh, lovely, lovely times.
But I guess the pressing question on everyone's mind, Joel, is, are you a Jew?
No, I'm not. I am Semitic, though. I am Semitic. No, I was actually talking to someone the other day. They said, Joel, you're coming off as a bit anti-Semitic. And I said, what makes you say that? And they said, well, you don't support Israel. And I was like, well, hang on. I am from the Levant region. I'm Lebanese. I'm Syrian. That is literally Semitic. I'm 100% Semitic on my genetics. In fact, I'm more Semitic than most people in Israel, funnily enough. But no, I'm not Jewish.
And what makes him more or less correct about saying that he's more Semitic than most people in Israel is that most people in Israel are from Eastern Europe. Eastern Europeans, Poles, Germans, Ukrainians. That's where those guys came from. The people that established the modern state of Israel in 1948 are all Eastern Europeans. And as we all know, it was in response to World War II and the Holocaust. So Joel is correct. He is more Semitic. I'm more Semitic. I'm also from, on my father's side of the family, from Lebanon, Syria, Armenian, we're more Semitic than these Israelis. Fact.
I'm, a proud Christian Middle Easterner. My dad was Syrian Orthodox. My mum was Lebanese Maronite, and both countries are being invaded by Israel right now.
Yeah.
So no.
Actually, is there any countries in the Middle East that Israel hasn't dropped bombs on? No,
there's negative on that.
Even Qatar and Saudi Arabia are getting their taste right now.
Yeah. I saw Tucker talking about that. Interesting.
Well, it's
times.
a byproduct, I guess.
Yeah.
You ever taken any Jewish money?
No, never. No, none at all.
Have they ever tried to influence you?
Always. Heaps. And don't get me wrong, the Islamic lobby out there, because most people, they see these things as a binary.
That's right.
It's like you're either with the Zionists or the Islamists. And it's like, well, actually, I'm a Christian and I believe Christ is king. Yep. And I was born in Australia and my family owes a great debt to the country. So there's actually a third path here. And
dude, I'm so happy that he's saying this because he's 100% right, man. Like, and I mean, I wasn't born in this country. Actually, I was born in London, but I'm considered an Australian citizen born abroad because both my parents are Australian citizens. But yeah, like he's so right, dude. Like fucking, and that was sort of my criticism in my last episode of Pauline Hanson. It's like I just prefer, Australian politicians just care about Australians and just care about this country and put this country as the number one priority. And, whatever, they can have you can have your like take, I guess, on other nations and foreign conflicts and whatnot, but it shouldn't be like a I don't know, it shouldn't be such a like a passionate what am I trying to say? It shouldn't be so central to like your message or whatever that I mean I remember years ago, and not that like I'm a big fan of this particular politician or anything like that, but what was his name? Can't remember his goddamn name. Barnaby Joyce. I remember he said something on one of the news stations where he was getting quizzed on the Israel-Palestine conflict, and he said something to the effect of like, I don't really care, and when you come to this country, Australia, you leave all that bullshit at the door. And I really liked that response. I think that is from a Australian politician, that is the correct position, in my opinion. And I'm not an Australian politician. I've got my own thoughts and perspective on different conflicts, and I'm really passionate about war and peace and economics, and so I do focus a lot on things abroad, and especially because my country, Australia, gets dragged into a lot of these things. So, I wish I didn't really have to like know about, the different oblasts in Ukraine, but to the extent that my country is sending aid and money and weapons to Ukraine, well, now I've got to fucking know about that shit. So, yeah, but like in an ideal situation, I wish I didn't have to. And if our politicians cared more about this country and its citizens, then I wouldn't. So,
the Zionist lobby are one of the most militant, well-organized lobbies in Australia. They're not the only one. Don't get me wrong. The Islamists are the same. They're always saying, "Oh, you're a Zionist, Joel," but no, like they are serious. They don't muck around.
They don't muck around. No, and look, you've been around this alternate media space for a while now, and you're still young. You're still under 30, right? So you've seen a fair bit. I've stepped into this at an older age, and I've got to tell you, I've never seen anything quite like the levels of hatred coming from every single angle just because you want to represent Australia first. And these organised Jewish and Zionist lobbies that you're talking about, holy fuck, these guys can hate like nothing I've ever seen, man.
It's kind of like I'm going to cop some flack from this whole conversation, obviously. I don't care. It's kind of like a spoiled child when you're not giving them attention.
Dude, it's very feminine as well.
Yeah, it's like, well, hang on. I'm Australian. Yeah. I want us to put our focus here about this and that. For example, we've got fuel shortages because of what Israel just kicked off with Iran.
100%.
That's going to hurt Aussie families. It's going to hurt people in my community, your community of Queensland. That affects us. Now it's a problem. Now I'm going to talk about it. And they are like, how dare you? You're standing with the Ayatollah.
Yep.
And it's like, are you daft?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Like, seriously, we've got Aussie people. There's a 14,000 k's away. There's this conflict going on. Aussies are going to be hurt by this. Fuel's going up, which means trucks are going up, which means that when it comes to food, getting the food to the cities, that's going to go up. People can't get to work. It's already bad enough. And so no, I think that the where the Zionist lobby went wrong, and this really came out in Charlie Kirk's letter to Netanyahu early last year in May. He criticized them for not giving people basically the opportunity to criticize a country, and then they've tied it to this Jewish identity.
Yeah.
That we love all Australians, including Jewish Australians. The idea that, the Bondi shooting would happen and that means that, you have to support Israel is crap. They're two separate things. We believe in decency of all people in Australia. If you're an Australian citizen, if you're visiting to Australia, you should be able to go to the beach, for God's sake, and not be shot by some ISIS-trained terrorists. But that doesn't mean that you don't support, that you have to support Israel or you hate Israel.
I'll just quickly say as well that, like, in terms of that shooting, which was horrific and just disgusting, like atrocious. But those ISIS-trained terrorists were on the radar of our federal agencies, and they did nothing about it. So, and I remember that there was some attention on that at the time, and people were very critical of the AFP, Australian Federal Police. But where's all that outrage now? Seems like that it's just totally shifted, and we've all been distracted from the fact that the Australian Federal Police were watching those guys. They knew that they had gone, I think it was to the Philippines for training, and they did nothing to prevent that at all. So heads need to roll. Like, what's going on? Where's the Royal Commission into the Australian Federal Police? And what happened there? What the fuck happened there?
Totally separate things. And people that conflate these things are dishonest, they're liars, and most Aussies, fair-minded Aussies anyway, see through this crap.
Well, that's what I noticed in the last, 24, 48 hours, especially with some of the more organised, larger social media accounts coming out saying it's a binary choice. You're either choosing to stand with the pedophile leader of Iran or you're supporting Israel. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about either of you, and I don't want to have a dog in this fight. Not only that, but we've imported so many people from these different regions around the world that do have a dog in this fight. And if we end up choosing a side, we're going to end up with these people fighting in our own streets, as far as I'm concerned. And we've seen that happen already.
Thank you so much for watching the show.
Yeah, dude, I think, I think that guy, that's a legitimate concern. I'll just go back to full screen. But yeah, that's a legitimate concern. We do bring a lot of people in from the Middle East, myself included, like more recently, who maybe haven't assimilated, and in some cases are rightfully pissed off about getting bombed by Israel and having their land stolen and their houses stolen and their brother and sister murdered and their parents murdered and whatever else. But yeah, so yeah, it's a real concern, even though it may be justified. It's like you can't then take that anger out on people who had nothing to do with it, and that's a big fear for sure. Rightio, let's have a look at some of the markets. So we got gold here in Aussie dollars, $6,417 and change, and we're just still confined in this like consolidating downward sloping channel. I just wouldn't be surprised if we sort of stay, confined in that. That's sort of where we're at now. Still a lot of selling pressure. Excuse me. Where am I? Gold in US dollars, very similar. I mean, I could draw the channel here too. It's not much different. So still stuck in this channel. $4,613 and change. We'll have a look at silver. Silver's somewhat popping off a little bit, or it was. But back above, back above that $100, $112.87. Still selling pressure though, for sure. Silver in US dollars, $81.13 and a little bit. Similar thing, pretty much identical charts really, just the Aussie dollar's weaker, so there's more of them to make up an ounce of silver. Cool. What else we got? Let's have a look at the Dixie. So this is the US dollar priced against a basket of other foreign currencies, and it's had a little bit of buying happening here for the US dollar. So 99 and change. We really want this as foreigners, foreigners to the US. So like from the Australian perspective, we want this to dump, dude. We want this in the gutter. That'd be nice. What's this? The Aussie dollar priced against the euro, 61.69 cents. The Aussie dollar priced against the American dollar. One Aussie dollar buys 71.887 US cents. What else do we want to look at? May as well have a quick look at Bitcoin. Looks like there's a little bit of selling. I've been tracking this one pretty closely, but $80,887 and change. And we're in this upward sloping channel, which I think is bearish. Kind of similar to like this one here where, there was buying, and then the sellers took over and then she dumped. Just try and find another example of like an upward sloping channel. But see, downward it's like in the reverse, downward sloping channel. If I were to flip this around, upward sloping channel and then selling, but downward sloping channel and then buying. Anyway, whatever. But so that's where I think we're at. I mean, there was a little bit of a, like a complex M-shaped pattern here, like a bat pattern or a Gartley. 786 on D. For those who don't know, like if that's a little complicated for you, go check out Mitch Ray TA YouTube channel, Mitch Ray TA, and he'll explain all that stuff to you. But yeah, so in my opinion, upward sloping channel, again, this is like, or not again, but whatever, this can be subjective or is subjective. So beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but that's the way I'm looking at it. Let's look at yield. So the Aussie 10-year is gaining you 5%, just over 5%, and a little bit of selling off in bonds. So the yield's gone up a little bit. Let's look at the US 10-year and a lot of selling in bonds because yield going up. So it's like, it's the inverse. So if the yield's going down, that means that the price of the bond is going up. And if the yield's going up, that means the price of the bond is going down. Oh, excuse me. What else do we want to look at? May as well just quickly look at the Aussie market. This is the ASX 200, 8,619 and change. A little bit of selling. Cool. Just wanted to rip through those really quick. And now, as I always love to do, let's have a look at antiwar.com and look at some of the headlines, and maybe we can go through some of the articles if any of these headlines grab me and interest me. So Xi warns Trump of clashes, conflicts over Taiwan. Yep, nothing new. Israel bombs vehicles in Lebanon, killing 12. Israel has killed 120 in Gaza since start of Iran ceasefire. Fuck. Israeli troops raid villages in southwest Syria. Detain civilian. Shit. House narrowly defeats Iran war powers resolution. Reports Saudis bombed Iraqi militias in Iran war. Netanyahu says he made secret visit to UAE. UAE denies. Iraq, Pakistan, Inc. Hormuz safe passage deals with Iran. US military surveillance flights surging over Cuba. Fuck, Cuba's next on the hit list, it seems like. Mexico denies reports of CIA ops. CNN stands by report. Trump's Golden Dome would cost $1.2 trillion. Wonder what the Golden Dome is. Let's quickly look at this. I probably won't read through it, but Trump's Golden Dome missile defense shield would cost $1.2 trillion. Congressional Budget Office. President Trump plans for a golden... Oh, sorry, and this is an article by the great Dave DeCamp from a couple of days ago. President Trump plans for a Golden Dome missile defense system to cover the entire territory of the United States. And it would cost $1.2 trillion to build the operation, according to Congressional Budget Office assessment. Dramatically more than the White House has requested for the project. Okay, so he's looking to build a Iron Dome-esque defense system for the entire United States. Fucking hell. House to vote on bill to give Ukraine $1.3 billion. Lovely. Trump lands in Beijing with CEOs, top aides, and I think it's like Elon Musk and Tim Cook from Apple and guys like that. Zuckerberg, I think, maybe. New counter-terror strategy eyes Tucker Carlson. Fuck. What's going on here? This is an article from... What? Ken Klippenstein. Have a quick read of this. Two right-wing figures, Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, have been named by the White House as possible domestic terrorists, according to the Trump administration's top counter-terrorism official. Sebastian Gorka himself, a former right-wing influencer turned National Security Council principal, has been making his rounds on conservative media explaining the meaning and purpose behind the president's new national counterterrorism strategy, which I reported on previously. Between grandiose monologues about his vision of a crusade to save Western civilization from anti-American and anti-Christian extremism. How is Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes anti-Christian extremists? They're both Christians. Fuentes is a Catholic, and I believe Tucker's a Protestant. And Tucker's interviewing priests and talking about the Sermon on the Mount and, you know, all good things Jesus. What are you talking about? Gorka lets slip that the administration's war on, quote, domestic terrorism, end quote, isn't just aimed at the left. It targets anyone who isn't in line with the broader MAGA agenda. While Trump's National Security Directive, NSPM-7, explicitly singles out the left with its list of so-called terrorism indicators, many of them could describe people on the right as well. Far out. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but God almighty, have mercy on us all. All right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks, everybody. Peace out. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Really appreciate the support. Follow me on X at ArabAncap, ARABANCAP. And yeah, peace out. See you guys soon. Hopefully I'll get more of these out soon. Sorry, it's been a few weeks since the last one, but I've just been flat out with work and got to pay the bills, brother and sisters. All right, peace out. Love you all. Forgive your trespasses. Love your enemies.